What's this, Keith Kalfas, and I'm here right now with Daniel Mirval, a certified arborist from Chicago, and he stopped by to visit. We had some dinner, had some food, and he is going to do some Q&A, and he's going to talk about what it means to go from maybe starting a landscaping business, or if you're trimming trees, some of the important safety stuff and things to know about that we might not have thought about, because we come into the industry not even knowing this stuff. And so we got some food, and got a prop behind us, got a tree from outside, and we'll just get right to it. What's up, Daniel?
What's up?
You doing well?
I'm doing great.
So you're from Chicago.
Well, not originally. I'm from Michigan, like you originally, but yeah, I'm in Chicago now.
And you've been doing the tree stuff your whole life. And when did it hit you to become an ISA certified arborist, a member of the International Society of Arboriculture, what is this?
A certified tree safety professional.
Okay, so basically when I hang out with this guy, he scares the shit out of me. We'll be eating dinner and he tells me something like, I'm just going to be raw and open. Did you know if you do this with the tree and then like lay down the tree fall?
Duty of care. You have a duty.
Yeah.
A duty of care.
You can be held liable and get in a lot of
you can be held liable
trouble
for some things that you do. If you do something to a tree that causes some problems. Here's an example. So you go to a client's house and they want you to trim a tree. And here's the property line. And the trunk of the tree sits right here on the property line. And that flare of the tree goes this way onto the neighbor's side. But it's this neighbor that wanted you to prune the tree. Well, this tree is joint owned. So what you do to that tree is very important. Even if that tree was all the way on the neighbor's side, it was this neighbor that called you to prune the tree, you can prune. So you're entitled, in most states, arboricultural law says you're entitled to a vertical line. So you're a tree, I'm a tree, property line's right here. The branches from Keith are bothering me on this side of my fence. I want all that off of my roof. Do you have a right to do that? Absolutely have a right to do that, but you have to do it in a way that is not going to cause negative impactful harm to this tree over here. So you've got to know how to prune it the right way, which would include not doing stub cuts that could lead to decay.
Stub cuts could lead to decay.
Well, sure. Well, so, trees want to close their wounds. Trees don't heal like we do. So you can't just go up to a tree and just cut a branch anywhere. You can't do that. They're not shrubs.
They leave a stub.
Well,
that's a stub cut.
That's a stub cut. So what can happen a lot of times, especially in certain varieties, like let's say a locust, for example, you'll get epicormic sprouting.
Epicormic sprouting.
Yeah, so the tree's reaction will be to just throw a bunch of sprouts out. So you don't want to do that. So you need to cut it back to a lateral.
Cut it back to a lateral.
Yep. Or a node. Another body.
To a node. Okay.
And it needs to be one, it broke off. It needs to be 1/3 the diameter of wherever you're cutting to.
1/3 of the diameter. Why is that?
Because you need about that much to have enough juice, basically, to heal. To close the wound that you make. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't take a branch that big and cut it back to a branch that big. There's not enough life in there to help that wound from that branch then close.
Okay.
Yeah. So trees don't heal. I think I said that by accident. Trees don't heal, they seal.
They don't heal, they seal.
That's why it's important not to do stub cuts. It's very important to do what's called a collar cut, because in the collar, in the branch collar, there's a lot of enzymes in there. And when you cut that correctly, you release the enzymes, and in a matter of hours, you start to create wound wood that then turns into callus tissue. And that's where you see a pruning cut that looks like a donut.
Yeah.
Have you ever gone back to a former client?
Yeah.
You see that you made a cut and it's like it's trying to close and seal itself off. So much like a submarine, a submarine's gonna flood, and you close off those compartments so the whole sub doesn't flood. The tree kind of does the same thing. It wants to close off wounds so that decay doesn't spread through the whole tree. That's why it's very important when we make our cuts that we make them as small as possible. 4 inch and under is really good, because bigger than that, they never really they have a hard time closing before you start to get decay to the branch.
There are enzymes in the branch collar that promote compartmentalization.
It's called coated. So coded
That was from
CODIT.
Arborist the Terrible. Talk about
Yep.
that.
CODIT is compartmentalization of decay in trees, and that's a real thing. And that was invented, I guess, or coined by Dr. Shigo back in the 60s.
Wow. Copper nails.
Copper
no.
nails when doing lightning protection installation.
Interesting. What's up, Steve? SN Sting. Arborist the Terrible. Crimson Hawk. If I can't get my ISA here in the USA, can I be an arborist in Sweden?
Absolutely. It's called the International Society of Arboriculture. International. Absolutely.
Nice.
So I got some flack. Can I talk about that a little bit?
Yeah.
So we did that video back in the summertime, and in that video when you interviewed me, when I did that live root collar excavation.
Yeah, I'll put a link in the description below this video. We did a couple videos with him and they were awesome. So you got to see.
I made some comment where I said, because Keith asked me what's great about being a certified arborist is International Society of Arboriculture certification. And in the video, I said something to the something in regards to let's say you were an undocumented person in this country that you could get certified and then like go back to your home country. I guess what I was trying to say is maybe the challenge of being here is that you're undocumented and you're trying to figure out like how can I upgrade my skill set. I guess what I was trying to say is let's say that you're here, but your ultimate goal is you're here to work, you're here to make money. Eventually you'd like to go back to Sweden. Let's say you were here undocumented from Sweden, just for example, and you went back to Sweden and have some sort of skill set to where you could, have a better chance of upgrading your lifestyle or whatever. So you could be here working and then studying to become a certified arborist and take your test here, and then you could go back to Sweden as a certified arborist, and you could conduct yourself as a professional arborist in arboriculture on that platform. And I guess that's what I was trying to say. It didn't translate well.
Does anybody, Ricardo Lupien, does anybody here deal with oak wilt in their states besides Texas?
Oh, absolutely. Here in the Midwest, we have a big problem. Had a big problem in Michigan, the Chicagoland area. In Texas, it's bad because you guys got that pretty much all year round. For us in the Midwest, it's pretty much the 15th of April through about the 1st of November, with our high risk period being.
For those who don't know, what is oak wilt and why do they need to know about this immediately if you're a landscaper or a tree guy?
So oak wilt is a fungal disease. I'm not going to get real heavy into it, but basically, if this were an oak tree and you cut a branch, let's say in July. When you cut the branch, you've got some sap flow, and that's going to release a pheromone. And that pheromone can attract a beetle. And that beetle typically is a host to carry a fungus on its body. So when that beetle comes, basically drink the sap off the tree, the fungus transfers from its body onto the wound. The tree takes that into itself, and then it starts to plug up the vessels within the tree. So the tree kind of knows that there's a problem and it knows it's got this infection coming. So there's a process, and I'm almost 100% positive that the term is called tyloses. And what happens is it closes off the vessels in the tree because the tree says, I don't want to get this infection through my whole body. So it shuts down all these vessels that basically allow the tree to feed into, I'm going to cut myself, and to drink. So basically the tree kind of dies of dehydration. So,
in short, what he's saying is if you trim an oak tree in the middle of the summer, the whole tree could be literally dead in like 6 to 8 weeks, and you caused a massive liability.
And what's really bad is, let's say you do that next door and there's another oak tree on the other side of the fence within, 20 yards of each other. And those red oaks have a tendency to graft their roots together, which means they'll find each other and then kind of intertwine, and they'll share resources back and forth. So if he gets oak wilt and his roots are touching my roots, and he can transmit the oak wilt to this tree. So if you're the arborist or the landscaper that pruned that tree and you caused that tree to get oak wilt, and then it went under the ground through the roots and got the tree next door sick, you could be in a lot of trouble.
A lot of trouble. So, and if it's attached to 20 oak trees in a row all over the neighborhood, and you trim one tree, oh, you
So
can,
let's say Keith is a tree, this is a tree, and I'm a
you're
tree,
sitting
and all
behind
three of us are red
Mars
oaks.
in prison
We
for
know
the
that
rest of your
he
life.
had. Oh, stop it! You just have to pay a lot of money for the tree to be replaced. But what's bad is what if you can't replace the tree because it's like this freaking big? Now you're gonna have to use the trunk formula replacement method, and it's gonna cost you a lot of money. Anyway, so let's say you're an oak tree, this is an oak tree, and I'm an oak tree. We know that you have oak wilt. We have to cut you down. We have to cut the roots between me and this tree, and maybe even have to cut this one down too to save my life. Now you lost 2 trees. What if those 2 trees are on that side of the fence? Pay attention to what you're doing, bro. Tree business is real. If you want to be professional.
Wow.
Longevity. It's about longevity.
Yeah, I'm here in California. Big
Sir.
California. And we got a lot of that we call oak beetle and sudden oak death
Yeah.
as bark beetle.
Yeah, that's a problem in England as well. Sudden oak death.
Sudden oak death.
Yep. It's kind of like a phenomenon.
So the tree gets infected, the whole tree just dies.
Yeah. So there are certain things going on too that are causing oak trees to go into decline, rapid decline. They don't even know why. A lot of it's climate related.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Can you transfer down your tools to? Excellent question. Excellent question. You can transfer it from tree to tree. You can transfer it from house to house. So you want to kind of disinfect your tools as you go, especially if you're on a site where you know that you have different kind of plants that are hosts for certain diseases to go to another tree on that property. And it's as simple as a can of Lysol. I mean, they say you can use like a bleach, alcohol, 10-to-1 mix, 10 parts water or 9 parts water, 1 part bleach, that kind of rust your tools. You can just take some Lysol, just a regular can of Lysol, and just kind of hose it down and do like count to 30, and that'll help fix a lot of the problems too.
Wow. So you're disinfecting your tools
Oh yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
Who here disinfects their shrub trimmers, their pruners, their loppers?
Oh, what do you think of the forest fires in California? Listen, I don't want to get all super political about this, but an old dude told me about this a long time
And if
ago,
you're
I
just
checked
joining,
this
this
out.
is Daniel Mirabal, certified arborist. This dude is certified in all types of shit with being an arborist. And the question is, what does he think of the
Forest fires.
And
So the forest fires are this. Way back, like in the late 60s, early 70s, the environmental movement that was really getting prolific. They didn't want people cutting down trees. But when trees got cut down, they kind of went through the forest and they were cleaning up dead wood and stuff like that as they were going. This is kind of loosely how the story goes. Anyway, there's been no maintenance in the forest. And the dead wood that you had on the forest floor, when you had a fire, it would burn up. That was the fuel for the forest fire. Well, there's a lot of money in government funded fire suppression, I guess you'd say. So the bigger these fires get, the more money that's available in government contracts and whatnot. The bottom line is, if there's a forest fire, it should be let to burn so that you get rid of all that fuel that's in the forest. And that's not happened for a long time. As soon as there's a forest fire, we run out to put it out right away. And that just allows the amount of dead wood to just keep accumulating in the woods. So, but there's like this whole political thing behind it. And it comes down to money. There's a lot of profit in controlled arson.
controlled arson.
You can find out a lot about that stuff on LinkedIn. There's a lot of articles on LinkedIn about that.
That was a good question, Arborsource. The terrible. It's Steve.
Oh, are the trees ever going to regrow from the damage? Oh, absolutely. You know that pine cone needs heat?
Christopher, huh?
The pine cones need heat. When it gets hot enough, the pine cones know, and they open up and they release the seed. They can't regenerate without fire.
What?
Yeah, the whole forest is designed to regenerate through fire.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, anytime there's a forest fire, the forest comes back bigger and better than ever. That's why the controlled burn is a thing. You want to go through and kind of do a controlled burn, or let Mother Nature do her thing.
So
when you keep suppressing the fire and you keep not allowing this to naturally happen,
yeah,
you just make it worse for the next time there's a fire. But you've got people building houses in places you never had them building houses before. That's the problem.
Whoa. See, I feel horrible for those people.
I do too, man. It's really bad. That's why I don't live in the woods, though.
Okay, so maybe Trump.
Propicanazole. Yeah, that works. Growth rate regulator.
So, wait. Ricardo Lupian says here in Texas we use propicanazole, or commonly known as Alamo fungicide.
Alamo. Yeah.
What's that?
Shortstop's another name that it's marketed under.
It is. What is this?
It's a growth rate regulator.
Growth rate regulator for what?
Growth hormone regulator for trees. It kind of slows them down. It puts more production into the roots than it does into the rest of the tree.
Why would someone want to do that?
It helps combat funguses. It's kind of like a byproduct of it.
Okay.
So maybe Trump was right about raking the forest. You know what? Yeah, that's kind of what he meant. Over in Europe, the urban forestry, or even forestry in general. Not that I've been to Europe, but I have a lot of colleagues who are from Europe. A lot of people I communicate at conferences here in the United States who are from Europe, and they're way more advanced, man. Their forests are so much older than any forest that we have here. Their trees are hundreds of years. The average age of a tree in a parkway here, in the Midwest is like 19 years. And over there, they've got trees that are, 400 plus years old.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
In Europe?
Yeah. Especially in Britain.
And they take a lot more.
There's a lot more care involved. They revere their veteran trees. Yeah. They take a lot more care of them.
And they care.
Yeah.
They give a shit. Why?
Because they know they're important. When the trees all die, we all die too.
Emerald ash borers, and are they? These are great questions, Arborist. Thank you, man. You're awesome. Wait. Are you guys still getting emerald ash borers? And are they switching to different species? So, what is emerald ash borer? And talk about all that so people can understand his question.
Emerald ash borer is an insect that is predominantly its predominant favorite host is an ash tree. It takes out the green ash variety first. White ash are a little more resistant to it, but sooner or later they are infested and killed by them. Chianthus virginiana, or white fringe tree, is the only other variety that I know of that can be attacked by the emerald ash borer. But they are
all these ash trees are dying all over the place because of the emerald ash borer.
Yeah, which came on pallets.
And his
from
question,
China. Are we still getting them? Yeah. And are they going to different species? Yeah.
What does that mean?
Chianthus virginiana, different tree, different type of tree. Yeah.
So
white fringe tree.
These insects are killing different types of trees now too.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're working on developing ash trees and changing their DNA somehow to make them more resistant. So the hopes are that in 2 or 3 generations, we've created ash trees that are biodiversified to where they can resist the attacks by emerald ash borer. So like in China, where emerald ash borer came from, they have the same ash that we have, but their ash, although they can be killed by the emerald ash borer, they don't get completely wiped out like our populations are here. I mean, all the ash trees are just going to be killed completely. But over there, just over time, they've developed a resistance to it. Their DNA has changed just like anything. Roach killing poisons. Eventually, roaches end up drinking that shit. They build up a tolerance to it. So the hope is that in a couple of generations that ash trees will as well.
Mr. KLC says, do you see much Dutch elm disease in your area?
Absolutely. Yeah.
What is Dutch elm disease and elm? What is elm?
Dutch elm disease, I'm not going to get real deep into that, but is another disease, much like oak wilt.
Elm trees.
Yeah, it can be. It's transferred by an insect. That's why you don't want to prune elms and oaks during that high transmission period.
So as a landscaper or a tree guy, you do not want to trim oak trees or elm trees from what months?
If you're in the Midwest, typically from about the 15th of April, let's say the 1st of November.
To the 1st of November. So all the warm and hot months.
Yeah, with like mid-June, July, August, first part of September being like really the highest.
So what if your
transmission
customer
areas.
has an oak tree, your lawn, your landscape guy or anything, and there's a tree, it's an oak tree or an elm tree. First, to identify it, go on Google, look up oak tree and elm tree, or get a book and look so you can identify it. If your customer says, hey, that branch is hanging low, or those branches, will you trim that tree for me?
That's
If you say,
work.
sure, I'll go ahead and do it for, $100, $200, $500, and you trim that tree, and these insects kill these tree, the whole fucking tree dies 6 weeks later, and you're on the hook for that. And you're like, I was just trimming the tree for my customer.
But what happens if a storm comes and a branch breaks?
Yeah.
And they call you and say, hey, can you come out and prune my tree? A branch broke out of it. You get out there and you see it's an oak tree. What do? Yeah, you need to clean the cut. So you need to prune the dead branch or the broken branch out of it. And that's the only time that we recommend using any kind of a pruning sealant. So you want to cut the broken branch out of the tree if it's during the high transmission time, and then you want to use a pruning sealant and close that wound off so that you don't get transmission
So these bugs don't get in and kill the oak tree or the elm tree. And this is so important because a lot of landscapers, including myself, didn't know or don't know that you can literally kill your customer's tree and be on the hook and be liable for that because these insects go into the trees in the warm months. I like to keep recircling back to that so those who are watching know how they can tie that to them.
So like Google oak wilt, Dutch elm disease, Google it, study it, especially if you've got a lot of those kinds of trees in your area so that so when you get these calls, hey, can you come out and do this, that, or the other, that know what it is you're doing, and if it's impactful. It's pretty important.
Yeah. Caleb Wolf. For real, I'm in my first 30 days in the landscaping and hauling business on my own. Dropped my job with the state and I'm totally on my own. Watch the channel often, helps a lot. Thank you. Thanks, Caleb. Gene Rios, Naperville, Illinois was full of ash trees. It looked beautiful.
Naperville
now,
in the house. What's up, Gene?
Full of piles of mulch.
Yeah. It's a shame.
God bless you. Search for the truth. What's a good degree to become an arborist, says Raw Tree Service?
Good degree. You don't have to go through formal platforms of education to become an arborist if you want to become a certified arborist. Start with the Tree Care Industry Association, go through their Tree Care Academy, and then work your way up to International Society of Arboriculture and become a certified arborist.
And what's the name of the website that they can go on to learn more about becoming an arborist?
To go down the road of the TCIA, which is Tree Care Industry Association.
Tree Care Industry Association.
Mm-hmm. That's tcia.org, or you can go to isa.org, which is the International Society of Arboriculture.
And that's what these patches are. You're a certified arborist, a member of the International Society of Arboriculture. What's that? Tree Care Riskman Assessment qualified?
Tree Care Safety Professional.
Tree Care Safety Professional. And what's that?
Plant Healthcare Specialist.
Plant Healthcare Specialist. And this guy has a full business. You have a whole staff of employees who are all arborists working.
Well, they're not all arborists, but I do have arborists, yes.
Yeah, so he owns like a legit business in Illinois and has an entire crews of guys out working equipment and shit. Like he's the real deal. And so he's not just a guy talking about it. He's living it day in, day out. And you're on Instagram?
Yep, Instagram, Green Extraction Technologies.
Green Extraction Technologies.
LLC, and then you can find me on there under my name, Daniel Miraval.
S.A. Gordo. In some places, it's against the local ordinance to trim out of season. My brother got a $500 ticket for trimming an oak out of season.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you can kill a couple of $1,000 oak. So there are ways of calculating the value of a tree, and if the tree is large, you can't be replaced. You use the 10th edition of the appraisal guide, and you come up with a calculation of what the tree is worth.
Appraisal of a tree. This is deep shit. Jimbo says, can I watch YouTube vids on how to cut arbors and start a business?
There's a lot of videos out there. Nobody out there that I would recommend to follow at this moment.
Good. Ken, Mr. KLC says there is so much to learn and things that change about trees. It's mind blowing. I stay away from it altogether and leave it to the specialists, but it's a great industry with very few in my area.
Well, Ken, that's a sign. If you like it, if trees interest you and you know that there's a void in your market, go after it. Pick one thing about trees that you like. Start with small tree care. You don't have to get into climbing and all that stuff right away. Start with small tree care. Start with consultation. Start being able to recognize the right tree for the right place. Go down that pathway. And again, the International Society of Arboriculture, even if you're not going to become a certified arborist right away, go get the book. Go get the Certified Arborist Prep Manual and just start going through that. It's like 13 chapters, and just go through a chapter a week and just start to familiarize with yourself with key words and terms. It's like anything. Every industry has its own language, and being an arborist or a tree person, we have our own language too. Start familiarizing yourself with that.
Jacob Lugo says, what kind of degree or license do you have to have your own landscaping business in California? Or what did you have to do?
Well, I'm not from California, so I couldn't tell.
What about Illinois?
Illinois, my business, so half of my business is in Virginia, just south of Washington, D.C., and the other half is, the other division is in Illinois, so I had to get registered. I had to register my LLC as a foreign entity doing business in the state of Illinois.
How often do you have employee training meetings within your company? Quarterly?
Formally every 2 weeks, but loosely every day. We have a tailgate safety meeting every day. We go through a job description and we walk on the job. So we don't just show up, get out of the trucks and start working. We walk around the job. We do a job detail. What are we here for? What are we looking for? What kind of hazards? Everybody walk. We're going to prune this tree, or we're going to take this tree down, or these couple of trees, and we do a full 360 walk around. We look up. Do we see any electrical hazards? So you want to use the HOPE method. HOPE. Hazards, obstacles, plan, equipment. So write that down. Remember, note taker, money makers. HOPE. HOPE. Hazards, obstacles, a plan, and equipment. So hazards are the electrical hazards. Is there some decay or rot in the tree? Is the tree split? Is it dead? Is it what kind of tree is it? If it's an ash tree and it's been dead and it's this big around, it's very brittle wood, you gotta be really careful. Is it leaning? Is there some decay down at the bottom? Is there a big hollow in it? Those are any of your hazards, your obstacles. Are there
Power
fences?
lines?
Power lines, yeah.
Rufus LC, what's up, Rufus?
What's up, Rufus?
Do you think bark blowers are an issue? I have noticed that people don't have any control over the mulch going all the way up the trunk.
This is my thing. So I'm the root flare excavation guy.
Root flare. So
Yeah.
it should be showing
Yeah,
the tree. but
and the
people
root flare is
pile
the
it
taper. The root flare is the taper. So that you got the trunk. So the root flare or the root crown is a transition zone between the trunk of the tree and where the roots start. It's basically the brain of the tree. That's really where all the magic happens, is right at the base. And there's a lot of stuff that happens when that all gets covered up. When you see a tree that looks like a telephone pole going on the ground, that's never a good sign, especially the bigger it gets. It's really a real problem. Bark blowers, I think that you're talking about the trucks that blow out bark. I used to have 2 of those in a previous lifetime. They're very, very expensive. And they worked good, and they're efficient. You can get a lot of mulch down, but you need to be careful. You need to make sure that you're not covering up flares of trees. It's very important.
No mulch volcanoes.
No mulch volcanoes.
Why?
Donuts, not volcanoes.
Donuts, not volcanoes. So why does a mulch volcano piling mulch up around the base of a tree does what?
The root flare can't breathe. There's a lot of cellular respiration that happens. So here's the trunk of the tree, and then it widens out like that, and the roots go down, away and down. When you cover all that up, there's a lot of cellular respiration that gets interrupted. A lot of structure roots that are buried too deep can't breathe, they come up. And that area where that mulch is piled up around the tree, that's a great medium for roots to grow. So those roots go up and they circle themselves around the trunk of the tree. And that's very dangerous if you're a climber, because if they circle around the tree and they girdle the tree, they compromise the whole structural integrity of the tree and the root system. If you're climbing the tree and you're raking pieces down and you create a dynamic shock load on the wrong side of the tree where a girdling root is impacting it, the tree can snap off at the base. I've had a lot of people on social media hit my inbox with pictures of trees that have snapped off at the base. And they'll say, dude, what's wrong with this tree? I think it was too top heavy. The crown was too big. I was going to prune this tree next week, but a storm came through last night and it just snapped off at the base. What happened? And I'm thinking to myself, thank God you didn't get in that tree, because you could have died. What happened is the whole base of the tree was buried and it was probably rotting at the bottom, or had stem girdling roots that caused a structural flaw. And a storm came and just blew the tree right over and snapped off. Somebody killed, man.
Wow. Mark Russell is good.
Think about mycorrhizae in the root system.
Talk about mycorrhiza in the root system.
Beneficial fungi that work in unison with each other. That's what mycorrhizae is.
Beneficial fungi that work in unison with each other.
Yep,
Beneficial. Is a degree in plant science good?
Sure.
Ray William Johansson.
Anything that increases your knowledge in your field of choice is good. Yeah, absolutely. I always say I don't know everything. Definitely don't know everything. My mission and goal is to bridge the knowledge I have with the experience that I have and be able to share that with other people. But I surely don't know everything.
And guys, make sure you check out the link in the description below this video afterwards. I'm going to link a couple videos that he's in. These really nicely edited videos that show him doing a
root collar excavation.
Pneumatic
root collar excavation using an air spade.
Soil biology is wild.
All starts in the ground, man. Landscape below ground.
Thank you for this, Michael Bice.
What's up, Jacob?
Wow, so Michael. Every job is an opportunity to train and learn for your employees. Interesting.
Absolutely. Totally. Every job's different, right? I mean, that's kind of what we're doing. You can't look at it as like we get out of the truck and every day it's a tree. Every tree is different varieties, different responses, how that tree's going to respond. Can you prune more out of that than you could another variety? How is it going to react to that heavy pruning? What time of the year is it? I mean, on and on and on.
In California, you need 4 years.
Do branches ever get stuck in the earring? No, actually they do. What's up, Jimbo? Thanks.
In California, you need 4 years of experience as a journeyman before you apply to get a landscaping business. Interesting. And you have to pay $330 for a landscaping application. After that, there are a few more fees.
In Maryland, you have to become a certified tree worker, because even if you're a certified arborist, you have to become a certified tree worker. I think New Jersey's like that too, but in New Jersey, you can't pump your own gas.
Ricardo Lupian says, I'm a certified arborist myself, but it's hard to deal with those guys with the chainsaw that charge just enough to buy a 24-ounce bush.
Yeah, man, it is tough. That's why you want the best thing you can do is don't do that. Don't do what they're doing. Try your best to hold your ground so that you increase professional arboriculture. I mean, that's why I wear these patches. I'm not wearing these patches because I'm like, hey, look at me, I'm all certified up. That's not what it's about as a professional. I don't wear a 3-piece suit, but a lot of people think that's what makes you a professional. I mean, I didn't even graduate from high school. I got a GED, real talk. I mean, I talked about that in the video when you interviewed me before. I don't have any college professional platforms of education. I mean, I just didn't do good in that. And again, I don't recommend that anybody quit school or any of that stuff. Follow your passion. But again, I wear these patches just because I want to present myself as a professional, because those guys that are out there doing that hack work, I mean, that's who we're competing against, and it's hard.
Rudy Rodriguez, I would love to meet you someday, Daniel. I stay 45 minutes from Chicago.
Yeah, anytime, Rudy. Hit me up. I'm always down. I'm always meeting people in the local area all the time, especially
hit them up Latinos. On Instagram too.
Yeah, trying to represent for the Latinos.
You know, it's bad weed eaters at the root flare.
Yeah, we call that weed eater blight.
Cut the cambium of the trunk and kill it.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? Cut the cambium of the trunk and kill it?
Yeah, that's like just underneath the bark.
Is there a general rule of distance to build an inverted retaining wall to preserve the base of the tree and still raise the grade around?
Oh, absolutely. You want to stay outside of the tree protection zone. So 10 inches for every inch caliper. You want to, or 1 foot for every inch caliper is what you want to stay away from the tree. I think I said that right. Yeah. The TPZ, tree protection zone.
Yeah. We like years ago, before I knew any of this, a customer wanted a retaining wall built around a huge crimson maple. It was a monster, dude.
And then backfilled.
And backfilled.
We just did a root collar excavation on a big English oak. Guy planted it 40 years ago.
What?
Guy planted it 40 years ago. And that's what he did. He put a retaining wall around it, had some landscapers come in. Yeah. They did the retaining wall and he backfilled it. Yeah. And for like the last 4 years, it's just been going into decline. Yeah. And they got two-line chestnut borer. Two-line chestnut borer shows up when an oak tree is in severe stress or decline. Two-line chestnut borer is kind of like
whatever you do, never put retaining walls around trees. You call them tree coffins.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but you can do an inverted retaining wall. Absolutely, I've done plenty of those. Yeah.
Inverted.
So if you've got a tree over here, and then the grade is like this, and you don't want to bury all this. You want to excavate and keep this out. Yeah. Then you just you do a retaining wall over here, and you just make sure you keep the grade right within that tree protection zone, which is usually out to the drip line.
Ah, okay. I was watching one of these videos and seeing a dude spike a live trim, ISI certified, informed dude about that one.
Yeah, that's not good. The only time you want to use spikes, there's only 2 times you want to use spikes. Number 1, when you're doing an aerial rescue, because all bets are off at that point. You got to get the guy out of the tree. And number 2 is when you're doing a removal. But if it's a live tree and you're pruning, man, you can't never use spikes. See it all the time in Illinois. It's really bad. It causes a lot of damage. Every one of those spike hits, that's another point of, it's a wound to the tree. It's a place where infection, disease, insects can get in.
Do you pick fungi mushrooms out of mulch? Dream chase. In Arizona, the landscaping business is free to start and no license needed.
Nice.
I'm from Aurora. We'll definitely need to look you up, man. Gene Rios.
That's what's up.
Great talk, guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Yep, came into the vascular system of the tree, absolutely.
Ah.
We don't need those thinking patches. That's right. You don't need them. You need the education, though. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah. All right, cool. We're going to wrap this up. Anything else?
No. This was kind of our prop, and it's kind of hard to see in the video, but I was going to do some, so one of my guys, Adrian Luna, he often will hand a groundie that's new on the crew a branch, and he'll turn it, on its end and say, pretend this is a tree. What would you do with it? And then hand him a pair of pruners, because it's already a cut branch. You can't ruin it, but you can pretend it's a tree. And what would you do with it? Start looking at it that way.
Because it basically, it is a tree.
It is a tree, sure. So you can look at it and say, well, there's some crossing branches. How do I, this would be a reduction cut. Here's a perfect example. I don't know if you could see this or not in this video. Maybe you can bring the camera a little bit closer. So let's say this was an overextended branch. This is kind of going up. You want to do a reduction cut, which means you want to cut it at an angle like that.
Okay, that's a reduction cut.
Yep, you want to reduce the branch.
Ah, all the way back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't want to cut the whole branch off.
Okay, awesome. We're at 39 minutes here. Thanks so much, guys. I'm going to put
Thanks for watching, guys.
In the description below. This is Daniel Mirval, certified arborist from Chicago. Happy Thanksgiving. I'll put some links in the description below to the videos that we did with him and his Instagram if you want to learn more about becoming a certified arborist or just getting more educated just for your own personal reasons to make you stand out more amongst your competition.
And if you're in the Chicago area, hit me up. Let's get up. We'll do some lunch or something like that and hang out. That's what's up.
Sweet.
I'm always down to helping people who want to learn more.
Awesome. And I'm going to be throwing an event in the future. Again, probably another, well, I'm going to be throwing another marketing ROI live event for sure. And if you can make it, you'll be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll be, if you want to meet him in person as well at one of my events, if you're not in the Chicago area, or you're also at local arborist events, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
So the next event that I'll be at will be the Illinois Arborist Association conference, and that will be December 10th, 11th, and 12th. I'm actually doing a presentation on the use of pneumatic tools, which are air tools in tree work, mainly for root collar excavation work and soil remediation. And I'll be doing that
Soil
class.
remediation.
Yeah, air tilling, adding amendments into the soil.
All the shit you're talking about, dude, some of it's over my head. What is your advice in creating a successful landscaping business with too much people willing to work for too little money?
There is no competition. I'm not going to speak to the landscaping part of it. There is no competition. Get that out of your head right now. There is no competition. Raise your level, raise the bar. Again, the professionalism. Like I say with these patches, this isn't me wearing them to say that I know more than anyone who doesn't have them. It's just a way for me to carry myself in a certain way that promotes
where the customer sees it as a risk to do a business with somebody else.
Yeah.
Besides for you.
Right.
Or besides for you.
I tell people straight up front, I am not the cheapest guy in town. Absolutely not.
Good.
And when they tell me, I had someone else come by and they said they could do it for $200 less, I hold my ground. And it's not hard. It's not easy. You got payroll to make. You got bills to make. You got equipment payments, lease payments, rent. You got to make all that stuff. It's really hard to hold your ground. And this is where Keith comes in when he really talks about this stuff for business. It's very hard to hold your ground, but I do. When somebody says, man, I got this guy to come by with a pickup truck, a ladder, and a chainsaw, and he said he can do it for $375 less. I say, hey, you know what? That's a great deal. You go ahead and you better hurry up and get him before he disappears. See you, bye. I bet you 9 out of 10 times. Okay, 7 out of 10 times. Realistically, people will be like, whoa, wait. Or I'll tell them, make sure he has insurance. Well, what do you mean insurance? I don't know. If he drops a tree in your house, if he falls out of the tree and dies. Yeah. So that's why I charge more, because I'm running a legitimate business. I mean, I wish I could do these jobs for like $1,000 and just put the cash in my business like that.
No way. Do I have to be certified for the conference in Chicago?
Absolutely not. Absolutely, you do not. You do need to be a member of the Illinois Arborist Association to enter it right to get in. The full conference, I want to say, is like $265, and that's for the 2 days.
And you can learn so much stuff. It would change your life.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, if you're interested in going, Gene, I got a feeling Gene's going to be there.
It's an investment, no doubt. Go for 1 day. I think it's like $165 for 1 day.
Actually, Austin says, what equipment would you recommend for starting as an arborist? Obviously safe, but I have gotten training and I'm wanting to move forward with my own career. What
do you want to do in arboriculture? When you say arborist, it's very broad. You want to do plant health care? Are you looking to climb? Are you looking to do removals? Are you just looking to do pruning, stump grinding? I mean, it's kind of a very broad question. So arboriculture is a very broad profession. There's a lot of things. I'm not a climbing arborist myself.
All right, cool. We're out of here. Cool, man.
I like what 22 said right there. Don't compete on price, compete on professionalism. Word
up. All right, cool. Great having you.
Absolutely.
On the show. Climb, removals, the whole package. But for now, climbing, removals, and pruning.
Monkey bridge saddles, I believe, is a type of saddle. There's so many out there. I mean, I'm not a climbing arborist, so I really can't tell you. I buy what my guys who do climb tell me that works best to help them do.
What type of equipment? Go to CherylTree.com.
Yeah, CherylTree.com.
Cheryl Tree, look that up.
Midwest Arborist Supplies.
Yeah.
If you're in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. Peace out. Later, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Hey, and remember,
get something out of it.
You can do a lot for tree care early on in a tree's life with a pair of pruners. Using chainsaws in trees, that's like the last resort. Try to learn young tree care early on and fix a lot of problems that are out there with a pair of pruners.
Peace.
Peace.